These are my lip smacking, so good and delicious barbecue ribs. And you know what? They're all sorts of awesome. And today I'm going to teach you from A to Z, start to finish, how to make them, because life's too short for bad barbecue and I want you to make good ribs. We are doing St. Louis cut ribs today. Most manufactured ribs these days, unless you're going to a customized butcher, they're going to use bandsaws for cutting the ribs. So one of the key things about ribs is that when you get them, give them a rinse off. You're going to get rid of any little dust and shrapnel that's on the ends. So we have two sides to these ribs. We have the meaty side. It's got a lot of fat and meat on it. We've got the bone side. Right on the back here, there's this stuff here that would probably hold up a truck. It's called the membrane. Some people refer to it as a silver skin of ribs. One of the key things about membrane on ribs is that you need to get it off. And it's a really simple task. What it does is it allows the meat to absorb the smoke and to absorb the rub better if it's removed. Just take a simple piece of paper towel. You're gonna fold over the rib in one hand, and then you're gonna go to the middle, always the middle in my world. And you see right where that edge is, you're gonna grab really, really tightly this paper towel. You're gonna work your fingers underneath there with the paper towel. Then you're gonna pull up. And this is the stuff you're trying to get off. And this stuff is so hard, and I don't wanna eat it. And sometimes you get lucky and they come up just in one section, and then other times, not so much. So it may take a couple. And the reason I like the paper towel is because it's nice and dry. A lot of people tell you, oh, you know, just insert some knives and poke some spoons into it and try to get it lifted up. My whole thing is that if you don't have to cut into your meat ahead of time or poke it, probably a good idea not to. You want to try to retain as much moisture into that rib. If you go start poking it all back here with all of your knives and stuff, you're gonna lose flavor and moisture, and that's never a good thing. And that's step one. Remove membrane from ribs. So we're gonna start with seasoning our ribs today. The meat side's actually your presentation side. That's the side that people see. So I wanna start with the bone side up. Yellow mustard acts as kind of a glue, and I actually want to get quite a bit of rub on there. So this is just a basic generic rub. You have to actually generously season them. This is not something you wanna go lightly on. I'm gonna say something a little NSFW. Rub your meat. Rub it real good. You need to become one with your meat. You see it's kind of getting a little tacky now. It doesn't look dry. We're gonna flip them over. We're gonna do it again. However, we're gonna use a little more rub on this side because this, of course, is the meatier side. If you have sodium issues, if you don't like rub that much, back off the rub. I think that these ribs can really handle a generous amount of a sweet with heat rub. So I'm gonna rub them and make them happy. Look at that. It's like a mahogany color already. It's awesome. You wanna set them on a nice lip tray like this. After all that work rubbing your meat, you don't wanna lose your meat. Make sure you let them set aside for 15 to 20 to even 30 minutes until that rub is really well absorbed into it. Our ribs have been hanging out, getting happy for about the last 20-30 minutes. As you can see, there's a lot of moisture that's come to the top. They're nice and tacky now, so you don't see any dry spots. And look at that glorious color already. Now remember, these are completely raw, but we've got this beautiful colored rib already. Another key thing about what we're doing today on the gas grill is that we are actually using smoker packets to enhance the flavor of our ribs. A good rule of thumb, 1 smoker packet per hour. Check the description below for a link on how to make these smoker packets. They're super easy to make, lots of information on how to pair woods with your meats. All right, so we're here back at our gas grill. I just turned it on. The first thing you wanna do if you wanna do ribs on your gas grill is to add a smoker packet at the beginning. You put it towards the back, that's where I like to do it. I've got this burner on, I've got this burner on, I've got these 2 burners off. The smoker packet's going to the back here. That's gonna help envelop all of our ribs with lots of flavor. This side's on, this side's off. Our ribs are gonna go on the side that is off. We are doing indirect heat on our ribs. Our wood packet is just starting to smoke up a little bit. This is a clear indication that you need to put your ribs on. So I've got these 2 beautiful big meaty ribs. We're throwing them on the grill. Every hour for the first 3 hours, we're gonna come out here and we're gonna make sure we switch out that smoker packet. And then we're gonna make these ribs delicious. So we're about 3 hours into our rib cook, and as you can see, we've got some great pullback on the bones. We've been replacing out the smoker packet. I just put on another one. What you want to do when you're cooking ribs on a grill is you're looking for something called the crack test. You're going to see the meat, starting to crack. These aren't quite there yet, so we're going to put them back on for another hour, and we're going to come back and check them again. As you can see, they are just starting to crack. They are definitely a lot floppier than they were before. And that means, in my world, it's time to foil your ribs. This is where I like to do what's commonly referred to as foiling. You don't need to do this step, but I find that I like the caramelization of all the sugars and the moisture from the apple juice into those ribs. Now, we could go and put those back on the grill for another 3 hours, and we get them to where they need to be. Or we can foil them, put them back on the grill for another hour, saving ourselves a couple of hours. This really does help expedite the whole cooking process of smoked ribs. This is an investment of your time, but it's really worth the end product. So, what we have here is some heavy duty foil. We are going to make packets of flavor for these ribs. I have brown sugar, I have some hot sauce, and I have some apple juice. We're gonna combine these things with our ribs on the foil, seal them up tightly, and put them back on the grill for about another hour. Another thing you can use right here is actually fruit preserves. Fruit preserves and barbecued ribs go really well together. You can foil with applesauce, apple jellies, pepper jellies. You can even go a little more exotic. Try some cherry preserves. You can even put, strawberry preserves in here. You know why? Because I've done it and it's delicious. Fruit and pork goes really well together. Make sure you've grabbed 2 sides of foil. Firmly close them up. Go to each of your ends. Make a nice tight package. Back on the grill, just like this. Put them back on your indirect side of the grill. We're not gonna be adding any more of these smoke packets. The reason is, our ribs are wrapped in foil. They're not gonna absorb any more smoke now, so you're done with the smoke package. Close the lid, come back and visit them in about an hour. So our ribs have been in the foil for about an hour, and we're just gonna open them up really carefully and check the contents. Make sure everything's all nicely absorbed into that meat. Not only is this hot liquid with sugar, okay? So it burns easily, so be very cautious when you do this. Now these ribs are now extremely soft. I can actually just snap these in half at this point by hand. No knives needed. What we'd like to do as our final stage is to set some barbecue sauce on them. And the reason I like to put sauce on at the end is that if you added all the sauce at the beginning and cooked it with the sauce all the way through, you would end up with black ribs because the sugars would caramelize so much and it wouldn't be tasty. Use whatever your preference is, and you want to coat and shellac your ribs. We're going to take these ribs out to the grill just to set the sauce a little bit, and then we're going to cut our ribs. So we have invested about 5 hours in these ribs today. We started off with seasoning them with the mustard and some rub. Then we went to the grill for about 3, almost 4 hours with some smoke packets. After that, we foiled them with some apple juice, some brown sugar, and of course a little bit of hot sauce. Back to the grill they went, and then we pulled them off, and of course we had to add a little bit of barbecue sauce to set them all up. And now, it's a moment of truth. After 5 hours, we are ready to finally cut these ribs. They are a big investment of your time, but they are big on flavor and big on lip smacking goodness. So one of the key things about cutting ribs, I can't see the bones if I'm looking meat side down. So what you want to do is you want to flip them over. You want the bones to be facing upwards. Have a super sharp knife. Make sure your cutting board's nice solid on the counter, and cut evenly in between each of the bones. You see that little red line that goes all the way over from one end to the other? That's actually the smoke ring. The smoke ring is from using all that beautiful wood today. It's a delicious, delicious day when you can pull off a rack of ribs like this. It's a lovely caramelized exterior. Look at all the juices that are coming out of that. It's a super juicy rib. Look at all that beautiful meat. And notice it's coming cleanly off the bone. It's not falling off the bone, but it's coming cleanly off the bone, which is a key indicator of a really well-cooked rib. 5 hours later, noshing down on some absolutely delicious ribs. So good and worth every minute, because good food is worth it. And this is some damn good food. Make sure you check out our links right below. In the description, we've got our recipe, our methods, and all of our social media links to Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Most importantly, you need to subscribe because you want to know about this kind of stuff. You want to learn more tricks and tips, and we're going to post them for you and give you lots of information on how to get the most out of your barbecue and grill in your backyard. Life is too short for bad barbecue.